What's happening, everyone? My name is Ryan, and if you're new with us, welcome. I truly appreciate you being here. Today, I'm gonna try and create a cinematic scene using only household items. The question is, can I create a cinematic scene using only household items? I don't know that this is actually gonna work. Challenges like this are super difficult if you're super limited on the amount of gear that you have and you feel like it's holding you back from creating something that you love or something that looks really great. I'm hoping that this video will inspire you to go out and just use what you have and just make your film. However, the question still remains, can I do it? Let's find out. So when I started this project, I was fairly confident that I was gonna be able to at least get something decent without using any video lighting or scrim or any kind of professional modifiers, C-stands. I wasn't gonna use any of that stuff, but I was pretty confident that I can get something pretty decent. I went around the house just kind of figuring out where I wanted to film and what was gonna actually look good, and I ultimately landed here. This is our pantry room / laundry room, and this is just kind of a new perspective. I haven't filmed here yet, so I just thought, why not? I immediately saw our pantry shelves, which are wire racks. These are old wire racks that my wife had. She loves these because she was a culinary student and worked as a chef in a restaurant, so she loves these kind of things, and I love them too, and they really just inspired that idea of maybe we have a chef or a cook who is coming into the pantry to catch a breather, frustrated, maybe he doesn't know if he wants to continue on with his career, all of that kind of stuff, which is super relatable for me and my wife because we both worked in restaurants for many years. Okay, so first I had to compose and frame my shot. Okay, I am creating a scene only using household items, but the one thing I did forget to mention is that I do have my camera of choice, which is the Sony FX3 right here. But there are plenty of other cameras at a much lower price point. Just pick your camera of choice. It doesn't really matter which one you're using. Just use the camera that you have, even if it's your phone. The phones these days are just incredible, so definitely don't let that hold you back. I'm using this with a variable ND filter on it as well. Beyond that is just the top handle, and that was just because it was already on there. I'm not using it for audio or anything. It's just on the camera. And I'm also using my Sony 24-70 lens to kind of pick which focal length I thought might work best for this scene. I was kind of developing the scene and what I was gonna do in it as I was setting up, so I was working on the fly. I decided to film this here in this room, but I did try a couple of the different rooms in my home just because I wanted to pick a place that had a lot of window light. Now, I know that the window may not be a household item per se, but you definitely need light in the shot in order for your camera's sensor to, read what's happening within the frame. So I decided to use natural light since I can't use any of my professional lighting, so we'll see how it goes. I chose this room for two reasons. The first reason is because the sun isn't blaring right into the window right now. It's actually right above the house, so there's a lot of shade, which gives for a much softer lighting. And the second reason is just simply because I think I filmed almost every room in the house, so this is just a new perspective, and I really liked the way this looked. Okay, so the first thing is to kind of dress this up a little bit more as a food pantry in a restaurant. Right now it just looks like a laundry room / pantry, so not super convincing, but we're gonna do our best to try and transform this whole thing into a believable restaurant pantry. So anyway, here we go. Now the set design is super important and actually plays a big role in a cinematic sequence because this is gonna help sell this environment that this character is in, further helping the story along visually. As you can see, the greenery on the side of me here, along with the copper pot, are contrasting colors, so it really helps in giving that depth that I was looking for in the image. Now, being that this is also our laundry room, the camera is facing the washer and dryer, and I didn't know what I was gonna do about that, but then it came to mind that maybe I should add in a tablecloth or something like that. Typically, you would see shelves with all of the food items on it. I just thought maybe this would help in further selling the illusion that this is a high-end restaurant kitchen pantry. For this, I just used the curtains that I have here, laid it on top, and there you go. All of this is in the background, so you don't really see it that much. After that, I just stacked it with pantry items, things that you might see in a restaurant pantry. And I really think that this copper pot here really ties in the whole restaurant feel. Okay, I think this is actually looking pretty good for what it is so far. Next step is to control the lighting in here, so we're gonna work on that next. Okay, so here we are. I have this white fabric. It's a cotton material, things that we would use for making pillowcases or dresses or things like that. My wife's a really good sewer. This is gonna act as our diffusion. Now in the past, you've probably seen me use some unbleached muslin. I really love that stuff. I like the way it looks in the final product whenever we're doing a film. I use it on professional sets all the time, and it's actually a common material to use. This, however, is just like your typical white sheet. All you have to do is go out and buy a white sheet and it will act just the same as this. So I'm gonna put this over the window to see if it's gonna diffuse the lighting on me just a little bit more. This is a project board. Now you probably see me use this a bunch in the past. This is considered a household item because this is something my kids would use for a science project or something like that, or presentation. This would take the place of a foam board or bounce card, and it actually works really well. Because I can't use any of my professional video lights, I definitely had to figure something out. This room had 2 windows, and I knew I was gonna use one of them as a fill and the other one as my key light, but there was a problem. I think that actually looks pretty good. I didn't realize how long it was taking me to set up this scene. I don't know that this is actually gonna work. Apparently has been a few hours at this point, and so the sun was going down pretty quickly. We're in winter right now in the PNW, so the days are really, really short, so I was losing light really fast. So another problem, it's getting later in the day as I'm filming this, and the sun is going down now below the tree line. I'm just gonna use this sheet material as a makeshift curtain and gonna be in the background, all blurred out, so yeah. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that works. But there is some good news. My wife just told me that we still have some of those aprons from her old culinary days, back when she was in culinary school. So I'm gonna check the shed and see if I could find any. No luck in here. Oh, not gonna find anything in here. So I went over there to check it out, only to find that they were nowhere to be found. Or at least I couldn't find them. At this point, I was feeling pretty discouraged. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to pull this off, actually. Well, friends, that was a major bust. This was actually the only day I had to do this. First, my youngest daughter got sick, then my whole family got sick, and on top of that, we had some electrical problems that we had to try and fix as we were sick. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen it on my stories. I just didn't have a whole lot of time, so this was truly the only day I had to do this. Otherwise, I wasn't gonna get a video out this week. Starting to think that this might have been a little bit more than I could chew. I really wanted this video to be fun and informative and inspiring to those who may not have all the gear in the world and are just working with what you got. I know this is something that I had to do for many years when I didn't have anything but a camera or even just my phone. Yeah, so I gotta say I was a little disappointed in myself. Whew. These challenges are always really difficult for me. And I've done many of these before. I've done one light setups, I've done all kinds of things, and there's usually something there to help me. But when it comes to light, I mean, you really need some kind of light source, whether it's a tube light or a really cheap, mini LED light. You need something to light up the frame. Apparently I've been spending a few hours doing this. So the sun has gone down quite a bit. But the number one thing that I tell all aspiring filmmakers is this: never give up. Be persistent and keep going. Because a huge part of making a film is finding creative solutions to the issues you're having on set. And to be completely honest, that is probably one of my favorite things to do in the whole filmmaking process. Be persistent. Let's keep going. Come on. So I picked myself up, we'll figure this out, and went back to work. All right. Nice vintage lamp. Might do the trick. This light behind me is giving me some backlighting, so added bonus there. Even though we can't control it, still looks great in the shot, so I'm gonna keep it in. Okay, I think I got something. I had a thought that came to my mind that a lot of cooks and chefs have a towel that they just put over their shoulder. So I figured this might be enough because this shot is so tight. So I just took off my hoodie. I'm gonna use this extra fabric that we got for our shears that we were currently using for diffusion. And I'm just gonna throw it over my shoulder and see what happens. Hopefully you won't be able to tell the difference. We'll see in the final shots. Okay, so I'm now starting to really lose light, so I'm gonna open up these shades a little bit more, get a little more light in here, get the shot, because I'm running out of time. Okay, here we go. And that is it, my friends. With a little bit of sound design and a color grade, here is the final look. So what's the moral of the story here? Well, I wanted to prove that it doesn't take all the gear in the world to create a scene that looks cinematic, that looks amazing. It really is the knowledge of how to tell a story visually and how to captivate the audience without the need for any dialogue. I might be in trouble. Now, of course, there are quite a few things that I would have done differently, like this curtain here, maybe bunched it up and made it look a little more like a curtain. Right now, it just looks like a bed sheet that was thrown up there, but I had to work on the fly. We're losing light, so there you go. This is one of those experiments that kind of hopefully proves that you don't need all the fancy lights and gear and C-stands and modifiers and all of those things. You could just use what you have in your house when you're practicing cinematography. All the fancy gear that's out there is truly helpful. It's gonna help you make decisions quicker. It's gonna allow you more flexibility in what you're doing. It's gonna make the overall image look better, much easier. I guess my real goal for this was just to encourage you. It doesn't take all the fancy gear and all of that to make a scene look beautiful. It really just takes your dedication to solving problems, learning new techniques, and then practicing them over and over again. And quite honestly, just going out and making films. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, don't let gear stop you. Just get out there and make your film. Well, that's gonna do it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you liked this video or you learned something or you're feeling encouraged or inspired, please click the like button down below. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, friends.